Howdy, I'm Lanzifer Longinus, and this is Panzer. If you know anything about Project 2025, and the Heritage Foundation, it's very clear that they have a very Christian nationalist agenda. When they talk about religious freedom, they don't mean everyone else's religious freedom. They mean their religious freedom to discriminate against anyone else that's a religious minority. As a Satanist, I'm part of a religious minority. Satanism will always be a religious minority. In fact, I would go so far as to say that if Satanism ever became a majority religion, it will have outlived its usefulness. In 2023, I delivered an invocation at the opening of the San Marcos City Hall meeting, and it was a satanic invocation. I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get that done. I waited 9 months for them to finally put me on the schedule. Eventually, after a whole bunch of ruse of like the city of San Marcos blocking my email address and all of this weird stuff and me having to go to City Hall, finally, I was called to a meeting with the mayor of San Marcos, which wouldn't have happened if I was a Lutheran or a Methodist or, so they couldn't say, no, we don't want you to deliver an invocation, because you're a Satanist, because then that would have been religious discrimination. Just a little over a year ago, Donald Trump became president again. And well, you know how it is. It's like, it's just been rough. There's not supposed to be any privileged status among the religious in our country, but there is, unfortunately. The Christian nationalists, they want to completely control the whole dialogue, and they push their religious viewpoint in, government institutions and in limited public forums in government institutions. The only way to really address that is for other religious minorities to come in and express their religious viewpoints, whether it's an invocation or it's a religious display during the holidays or whatever, but it tests the system to make sure that the system works like it's supposed to. We're supposed to have a secular government, and what that means is a government that remains neutral on all religious matters. It's not showing preference or deference to any particular religious viewpoint, and all of those religious or even non-religious viewpoints need to be allowed to be expressed. The Freedom from Religion Foundation and the ACLU and even the Satanic Temple, they're all kind of in this fight to address issues of religious discrimination. There's not supposed to be a religious establishment in this country, but there kind of is. There's not supposed to be. But you can see it, you can see that, here in the state of Texas, them plastering all of the classrooms in public schools with the 10 Commandments. It doesn't belong there. Religious minorities that aren't aligned with evangelical Christianity or that aren't aligned with Christian nationalism, second-class citizens. We can't allow that to happen. And the only way to fix that is to get out there and be involved in the process. And sometimes lawsuits and things of that nature can take years to be settled, But that's kind of a big part of activism. You have to have the guts to do it, and you're going to make enemies doing it, because anytime you stand up for any kind of justice, there's going to be people that are against whatever it is that you stand for, even if it's the right thing, Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And the thing is like the MAGA movement, they've taken the words freedom out of the dictionary and replaced it with a word that has the same spelling but an entirely different meaning, because as soon as you disagree with them on any of their talking points, you're against America, you're against America. I'm like, no, I'm not, that's not how freedom works, It's like, if you're really about freedom, the MAGA movement really isn't walking the walk, They're really about domination. It's a fascist movement, They're not really about freedom. I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said that dissent is the highest form of patriotism. It means that, if you see something that's not right, say something, and there's a lot of things right now that are not right. Like all the progress that was made over 50 years or so, like Roe versus Wade, they've completely undone that. Reproductive rights, that's been threatened. And that's another problem that stems from this lack of separation of church and state. It didn't used to be this way. When you pack the Supreme Court full of judges that are very right wing and very reactionary, wanting to undo all of the progress that's happened just like over the past 50 or so years, that would take a whole generation to undo that mess. Those Supreme Court justices are there for life. They're appointed for life. That's a lot of damage.